Hi, today I'm going to speak about the ongoing repression of the Uyghur people in China's Xinjiang region, exploring the dominant and subdominant groups involved, the patterns of social stratification, the intergroup interactions, human rights violations, and the economic factors contributing to this conflict. The dominant group in this context is the Han Chinese, who make up the majority of China's population and hold significant political, social, and economic power. The subordinate group is the Uyghur and Turkic ethnic group, prominently practicing asylum, who have lived in the Turkic ethnic group, lived in the Xinjiang region for centuries. The Uyghurs' distinct culture, regions, and linguistic traits have long set them apart from the Han Chinese majority, contributing to ethnic and religious segregation. The division between these groups is a clear example of social stratification, as discussed in Chapter 9. Social stratification refers to the hierarchical structure that ranks people based on factors like ethnicity, wealth, and power. In this case, the Han Chinese, being the dominant group, have greater access to political power, economic resources, and social privileges. The Uyghurs, on the other hand, are marginalized both economically and socially. China's system is a closed one for the Uyghurs, as they face significant barriers to mobility and advancement in areas such as education, employment, and political representation. This is further exacerbated by the state's policies in Xinjiang, which seek to assimilate the Uyghurs into Han Chinese culture through repressive means. In terms of intergroup interactions, as outlined in Chapter 11, the relationship between the Han Chinese and the Uyghurs is primarily one of the domination and suppression. The Chinese government has implemented policies of mass surveillance, forced labor, forced assimilation, and arbitrary detention targeting the Uyghurs. The state controls all aspects of Uyghur life, from religious practices to freedom of movement. As a result, the Uyghurs face constant oppression, and their opportunities for social mobility are severely limited. The government justifies these actions under the guise of combating terrorism and religious extremism, but it is widely seen as a method of racial and cultural extemporation. The situation in Xinjiang involves clear violations of multiple human rights, as outlined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. These violations include the freedom from torture, as Uyghurs are subjected to physical abuse, freedom from arbitrary detention, as they are detained without charge or trial in so-called reduction camps, and freedom of religion, as the Uyghur people are banned from practicing Islam in many forms, including restrictions on fasting and religious attire. Additionally, forced labor, family separations, and forced sterilization of Uyghur women also constitute severe breaches of their human rights. Looking at the economic factors surrounding this issue, according to the Multidimensional Poverty Index, which is MPI, which evaluates poverty through various indications beyond just income, such as education, living standards, and health. The Uyghur population in Xinjiang is disproportionately affected by poverty. Many Uyghurs live in rural, underdeveloped areas where access to education, healthcare, and basic services is limited. The Chinese government has sought to industrialize Xinjiang, but has primarily used Uyghur labor in these development projects. Often under exploitative conditions, this economy keeps the Uyghur population in a state of poverty and dependency, while the Han Chinese majority benefits from the region's economical growth. For social movements advocating for Uyghur rights have emerged globally, aiming to raise awareness about the atrocities in Xinjiang. These movements have taken various forms, from grassroots organizations to international human rights campaigns, such as the Uyghur Humane Rights Project and the World Uyghur Congress, focus on documenting human rights abuses, while others push for economic sanctions against China or call for international accountability through organizations like the United Nations. These movements can be categorized as protest movements, as defined in Chapter 21, which aim to create social change by raising awareness, organizing protests, and lobbying governments to take actions. In conclusion, the repression of the Uyghur people in Xinjiang is a profound example of how social stratification, intergroup relations, and human rights violations are intertwined in global conflicts. The Uyghur people face systematic discrimination and severe repression, while intentional social movements are striving to bring global attention to this crisis. As we continue to study these issues, it's vital to understand the power dynamics at play and recognize the need for action and support of human rights for all people. Thank you.